dreaming. I've been 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 dreaming.
just go to the Museum of Illusions and just do a whole video on that. But it actually ended up not being worth an entire video, and it's right on the same street as 3 other museums. So I figured I would just kind of combine them all and tell you all about them. So in Hollywood and Highland, that intersection is very, very touristy, very busy all the time, and I hate being there because there are so many people and it's just such a hassle, and driving in Hollywood in general is just a pain in the ass. And I know that there's cheaper parking than what I found. I just did not feel like looking. So where I ended up parking was the parking structure right by the Museum of Illusions, and it was $20. Rip off, but whatever. So it's right by Hollywood and Highland in the busiest intersection. And then there's also the Guinness World Records Museum, the Ripley's Believe It or Not, and the Wax Museum. So the Museum of Illusions is pretty much just a bunch of paintings on the walls, and it kind of makes everything look 3D and makes it look like you're a part of this 3D world. And it's pretty cool, the concept of it, but I don't think it came to life in a very efficient way. It's $25 to get in, but if you check in on Yelp once you're there, you get $5 off. So I ended up paying $20 to enter, and I was probably only in there for like 20 minutes tops, and it was so busy. It was the busiest museum that I went to, and the way they have it set up isn't very good as far as traffic flow. There's only one entrance, and that's also the exit. So you have people trying to get in, and then you also have people trying to get out. And the exhibits start like right at the entryway, so you have this like pile up of people just waiting to take pictures. So I kind of bypassed everyone and went towards the back of the exhibit, and I started in the back and worked my way forward. I just felt really, really rushed the whole time. Like, I felt like, I don't know, I just did not feel at ease. Like, it wasn't a comfortable environment. I just felt very rushed and very busy, and I just felt like I needed to get a picture and move on, and like, there wasn't really a lot of time to just kind of wander around because everyone's taking photos on like either side of any walkway, so it's kind of, you would pretty much just be in the way, so you kind of have to just go get your picture and move on. It was 2 stories. I think there are about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe like 15 art installations where you could take pictures in. I think they also do professional pictures if you get like the VIP package, but I don't think it's worth it. So overall, is it worth the $25 or $20? I would say absolutely not. I appreciate that the artists had to put the time in and actually make these installations. I just think that it's not presented in the best way, and it just isn't really an enjoyable time. So I definitely rate it like a 7 out of 10 because I do appreciate the artwork, but it wasn't a fun experience. So I haven't looked at my pictures yet, but hopefully at least I got some cool pictures out of it. But it wasn't really worth the hassle for some Instagram pictures, in my opinion. So after that, I crossed the street and I went to the Guinness World Records Museum. And they have the tickets available to do the Guinness World Records, Ripley Believe It or Not, and the Wax Museum. So if you buy one VIP ticket, you get access to all 3 of those museums, and that ticket is $36. That's the ticket that I went with. Because if you don't do that, each individual museum is about $20 to $25, and you have about a week to use the ticket, so you don't have to use the ticket the same day for the 3 museums. You can come back if you want to. But I was already there, and literally, so here's the main road, Hollywood and Highland. Here's the block, and then it's Museum of Illusions, Wax Museum. Across the street is Ripley's Believe It or Not and Guinness World Records. So it's literally 4 museums in like that one block. So I figured I would just do the 3 museum ticket, and Guinness was first. I think this museum was probably my favorite out of the 4, just because it was actually interesting. Like, they gave you a lot of information about a lot of different topics, and like tallest buildings, like heaviest fruit, sports facts, entertainment facts, like facts of people or like animals, and just like a bunch of different information. So it's kind of a little bit of everything. So I think everyone would be able to find at least one section that's interesting to them. So I appreciated that, and it's pretty clearly marked, and you go, it's also 2 stories. So yeah, I mean, it was interesting. It still wasn't like amazing, and you can tell it's kind of old, and like it could definitely use a touch up, but it was interesting. So I would give that one an 8 out of 10 just because I did learn some things. The other thing that I noticed was that some of the information was contradictory, so I was kind of confused. Like in one section it was talking about which country has the people who consume the most amount of calories per day. So they had one country, and they were like, this country, you know, their people consume the most amount of calories on average per person per day. Okay, cool. But then in another thing, it had a different country and said that that country consumed the most. So it was kind of difficult to like figure out what was happening. And then like some of the labels for things were kind of hidden, so you would have to like peek behind other things if you wanted to actually read it. So that was just weird to me. I was just kind of confused, and it kind of messes up like the validity of everything, because you don't really know like which one is correct or what to believe. So after that, I walked a couple doors down to Ripley's Believe It or Not, and I think Ripley is probably my least favorite of everything, just because a lot of the information in Ripley's is repeating information from the Guinness World Records Museum. So like they have the tallest man in there, and they have, what else? The heaviest man. They have like a lot of similar things to the Guinness Museum. So I don't think it's worth your while going to both. And then also a lot of it was just like art that people made, which is weird. So it was like, here's a portrait of Marilyn Monroe made out of puzzle pieces, or here's the Hulk made out of metal nuts and bolts. And it's like, okay, like this isn't really like a believe it or not sort of thing. This is just art that people made. So it wasn't really that interesting, and it was all kind of all over the place, and it was a long exhibit, and by the end of it I was just over it. Like I was bored, and it just took way too long to go through, and it was just not very entertaining or interesting. And you can also tell that that museum is old as well, and like the paint chipping, or it's just like kind of grungy and like dirty and run down. And I know those museums have been there forever, ever since I've lived here. I've seen them all the time. Every time I go to Hollywood, I see them. So I don't know how old they are, but they could definitely do a little renovating to make it a little nicer and more spiffy. But overall, it was just kind of boring and repetitive. So I would give that a 6.5 out of 10, just because it was not for me. I did not enjoy it. And then after Ripley's, I crossed the street again back to where I started, and I went to the Wax Museum. I've been to the Wax Museum in London and also in Vegas, so I kind of, you know the drill, know what it's about. But it was part of the package deal, and it was on block, so I went anyways. This one, it was okay. I mean, the environments were pretty cool. So basically they would have different scenes set up, and then have the wax characters of celebrities in those certain scenes. And then they also had props in certain areas for you to dress up if you want to, and take pictures with the wax figures. So basically you just walk around, you can take pictures with all the wax figures in their different scenes. And some of the wax figures are really, really good. So The Rock, I went up to his statue, and he was so realistic, like everything. It was crazy how real he looked. But then there are others like Taylor Swift or Beyonce, and they just looked super jacked up. And some people I couldn't even tell who it was supposed to be, so I would have to read the plaque. which is weird to me because I know that getting a wax figure is like a huge long process where you have to get like measured and like they mold you and all this stuff. So I don't understand how it could come out looking like not that person. But it wasn't too big, it wasn't too small. It was like a pretty good size museum. But I mean, yeah, that's basically it. It's just a bunch of statues of people and you go and take pictures with them. So, I mean, it's not like super entertaining. I guess I feel like if you've been to one, you probably can skip all the other ones because it's the same thing wherever you go. I do believe though that the one in London and Vegas had better, like more elaborate scenes and they were bigger. So I would recommend those rather than the Hollywood one. But it was okay. I mean, I would give it like a 7.5, 8 out of 10 just because it wasn't for me. But if that's your thing, you would definitely have a lot of people to go and take pictures with. So I got done with all 4 museums in probably like 2 hours. So it really does not take that long to go through any of them. And that's all I got. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you on the next one. Bye! One more thing. In the wax museum, you're supposed to be taking pictures with like all these characters, right? Well, a lot of the lighting in there was horrible. So like there was like a room where it was just Michael Jackson and like it was dark. And then there was a hallway and it had the Ninja Turtles in it and it was dark. Like lights not even on dark. So it was weird. Like a lot of the areas, the lighting sucked. So even if you did take pictures in there, they probably wouldn't come out that good. So I don't know if there was something wrong or like why it was so dark in certain spots, but it was weird. Okay, bye for real. I lied, I'm back. So another thing I forgot to mention was in the Museum of Illusions, a lot of the things that you take pictures with, to get the best like photo effect, you're gonna want to lay on the ground. Lie on the ground, sit on the ground, be on the ground. So I would not wear your best clothing or any clothes that you care about possibly getting dirty. And I mean, Hollywood's a gross place. And like, I don't even want to think about what I'm stepping in when I'm walking down Hollywood Boulevard. But you're basically lying or sitting where everyone's walking. So just consider that. I definitely feel like I have to take a shower, but you might get dirty. So, okay. Bye again.